I wouldn't call it epilepsy or narcolepsy. I wouldn't call it those two things, right? I would just say that something about the road has this effect on me where I get on the highway and instantly my eyes want to roll to the back of my head. So as you guys are very familiar with this, if you've been here for a while, okay, you guys will know that Melissa has been lying to you guys. She's been telling you guys to have...
The Bamboo Project Podcast starts in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Bamboo Project Podcast. I decided I want to become a billionaire doing what I already love to do every day and documenting my journey to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is DonivanGray and this is how I will turn my life into a living. So first, I want to start off by giving a shout out to the Bamboo Project family. My goal is to see is it really possible for someone like me to be worth $1 billion. That's the goal. And my plan to get there is creating 1,000 millionaires, including myself. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, you name it, we on it. And if we not on it, we about to be on it. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We have over 350 videos on our channel. Dr. Sabi inspired cooking tutorials, we got that. Travel and lifestyle vlogs, got it. Makeup, got it. Hair growth, got it. Real estate, got it. Basketball, got it. It's everything us. We post something on our story pretty much every day. You can find me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, AnetaBurn, AnetaBurn. How many times have you been told you have to focus on one thing to become successful? That never really sounded right to us. So because of that, we have 6 different projects. We have the food project, the music project, the clothing project, the fitness project, the sports project, and the Bamboo Project Podcast, which you are listening to right now. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, this is chapter 2, page 62 of this story. This podcast has 4 different segments, all right? We have the life update. It's a weekly update on what we went through last week. We have episode playback. It's a recap of last week's episode and the things I could have done better. We have Donovan's questions, which is a philosophical question that I thought about earlier in the week. And I said, you know what? I want to share it with you guys, see what you guys think about it. And then we have the topics of the day. So today's date is May 25th. It is 5:50 p.m. If you guys are new, you're like, oh, what does that mean? Well, listen, that's mad late in the day. It's super late. Damn near 6 o'clock, which means we probably won't finish this until maybe like 7:30, something like that, right? So that's very late. Obviously, you know, I'm gonna tell the reasons why we started so late. So this week was a very good week overall. I think it was I would say I thoroughly enjoyed this week. The biggest thing of this week, what would you say it was? Would you say it was going on the trip or picking up the things we had to pick up?
What do you mean the biggest part?
Like, what would you say the biggest part of this week was? Because I feel like those two things kind of go together.
I feel like it was one big moment.
Yeah, so I'm like, if I had to go, like, okay, which one of these? I can't. If I had to pick one, it's hard for me to pick one.
I think I like.
Oh.
You picked up.
Okay. So, yeah, because I'm like, I think with that, I'm going to get to it in a second. I think with that, it's something that's ongoing. And I also think that more things came from it as far as what we have to do going forward, how much it affects our day-to-day life, as opposed to the other thing, which is more of a one-time shot thing. And then it happens again later. We got to do it again a couple of weeks from now. So I'm going to start off with the thing that we picked up. So as you guys are very familiar with this, if you've been here for a while, okay, you guys will know that Melissa has been lying to you guys. She's been telling you guys to have allergies, right? She's like, oh, Donovan has allergies. I'm telling you, that's why we had to get rid of Kitty, because Donovan has allergies. She's been perpetuating this propaganda on the podcast for a long time now. And it's not true, okay? And I knew it. I knew from the beginning. I'm like, I don't have allergies. I know it wasn't that. I knew I did not have no cat allergies. Okay, it's a difference. We're just dirty. It's a very big difference between having allergies and being dirty. Okay, it's a big difference. And we don't have allergies. Okay, we just don't clean enough. So you're probably asking, why you telling me this, Don? Why you bringing this up? So the reason I'm bringing this up is because, okay, if you've already been on my Instagram, you will probably already know But if you haven't, well, here you go. Over the weekend, we decided to go to a pet store. Okay. Went to a pet store. And they told us that to get a pet, it was going to be between $2,000 and $7,000. Right now, I don't have $2,000 or $7,000 spent on one pet. Okay, so that's ridiculous. So you're like, damn, we can't get a pet. So I've been saying this before too, that the only way that I will know if I really truly have allergies is if I sniff some pets. I have to grab it, put it in my nose, and be like, okay, I'm good, right? So we ended up finding another place called K9 something another, right? It's an adoption place. We went there, ended up adopting 2 kittens. Okay, so we currently have 2 kittens, Rock and Sushi, which you can see on my. Actually, you probably can't see it. It might be my story. So maybe I'll put up a picture or video here of them. And the people who are listening, you got to go on Instagram or something to see it. But they're kittens. They were born March 1st and March 16th, I believe. So 1 boy, 1 girl. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to prove that I don't have cat allergies. Because as you guys can hear my nose. You hear that? You heard all of that? That was me inhaling. That was me. You see that? No, perfection. That's called perfect respiratory system. That's what that's called. Okay. I have no allergies. Okay. I don't know why people have been saying that I have had allergies, even though I don't. And we just been in the house playing with kittens. Now, again, another reason I bring this up is because, first of all, we don't have dust allergies either. Like I said, we just dirty. It's a difference.
Dust allergies.
See, okay. Here's the thing, right? So basically, what I would say is, imagine like if you went outside, because Melissa thinks I have dust allergies, but it's not the case. It's not the case. We just dirty. So imagine you go outside, right? And then it's a dust storm, right? Like you in the Savannah desert or something, right? And then all of the sand go in your nose. You might sneeze a little bit. You might chew a little bit, something like that. Cough a little bit. That don't mean you got allergies. It just means that your respiratory system at the time is overworking.
Dust allergies.
Because here's the thing. So okay. Watch this. So do you have dust allergies, Melissa?
No.
So why you been sneezing?
I haven't.
You have been. You've been sneezing in the house. I think you haven't been sneezing.
I think that's a mucus thing.
You think it's mucus?
Yeah.
You think that's what you want to see? You're allergic to mucus.
No, I'm saying that I think it's a food thing. Like,
My
health isn't maybe 100%.
Like I said, allergies. That's what she thinks it is. It's not. It just need to be clean. Now, the reason I started thinking that it wasn't the cat is because, for one, I've had multiple cats my whole life. I had dogs. Honestly, my entire life, I've never had any allergies at all. So, like I said, I'm one of God's favorites. He always told me, like, listen, you just don't have allergies. That's like, perfect, God, I got you. So it was very surprising to me when I found out that I did have allergies. That's not true. When I found out that Melissa thought I had allergies. Okay. So, like I said, we sniffing up the cats. Everything is good. They're in the house. We have them. We love them. They're very exciting to watch, which is why the podcast is starting so late, because I woke up this morning. First of all, I woke up this morning at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, right? To them, very cute, by the way. I can't lie. Very, very cute. They were like wrestling each other in the bed next to me, like under my arm. So I woke up to one of them, which is Rock, which is the boy. He's gray. He was underneath the cover under my arm. And I think Sushi was trying, which is a girl, brown, look like a lion, like a tiger, actually. She was on top of the cover trying to get to Rock under. There's a bunch of cute cat shit, right? It's a lot of cute kitten dad stuff. So that's what happened. So then that kind of woke me up at first. Then they started like wrestling in the bed, like running, spinning around, wrestling in the bed. So I'm like, okay. I kind of got up to just kind of watch to see what they were just doing, because you never had a kitten before like this. You just kind of be entertained and see what's going on. So I was checking them out. I was like, oh shit, this is mad cute shit. Oh my god, right? So I think I'm very happy that we have kittens. I think it adds a different vibe to the house. I definitely also think that it takes away my mind from other things. So I haven't really had to think. Honestly, I haven't had to think about anything else really other than them. I haven't had to. I wouldn't say that. I have not thought about anything else other than them. Not saying I haven't had to. I should have been thinking about other stuff, but as the podcast, but I didn't. So most of the morning was taking care of them, watching them, just analyzing them, jumping on stuff. We realized that I'm looking. They're just so cute right now. They're just looking so cute on the bed. I can't help it. I just can't. I'm gonna take a video and I'm gonna put the video in the YouTube thing. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna put the video here because you just can't. Let me wipe the screen too, because if you guys have an iPhone, remember, before you take a picture, shout out to Hunter. Before you take a picture, you always wipe your screen. Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing people did. So wipe your screen. Right now, I'm gonna show you the magic of the cat. Look at this. I'm gonna show you a video. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. Just look at them. Look at them. Oh, look at them. See, some people don't understand being a cat or dog parent. Okay, this one over here, this is Rock. This is a boy, and then this over here is Sushi. She's sleeping. They both sleeping. So, like I said, all morning was pretty much just us trying to feed them, clean them. Well, not them, clean the litter. Find out why they don't want to eat certain food and things like that. That was the whole morning. So we're gonna keep you guys updated on how it goes forward having these kittens. They're gonna grow up in front of y'all. You're gonna get to see them be bigger. Like, oh my god, it's crazy. It's crazy. We have like kids now, so I'm excited for that. But as I was saying before that, because of the kittens, I have wasn't focusing on anything else today. So no wholesaling, no real estate. Not applying, but studying for my real estate course. I'm trying to get my license to buy more property. I also haven't been playing Call of Duty, which is kind of strange too. I have not even really wanted to play Call of Duty. I kind of just wanted to play with the cats and watch them. We've been cuddling, sleeping in the bed. I'm trying to segue to something else, but it's too much cat stuff that happened in the last day. It was on my shoulder. They jumped on the ground. They were like hanging off the side of the. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna say, I promise. It's probably not what I'm gonna try. So okay, boom. So Rock is the boy. He is borderline a genius, in my opinion, right? You can see him analyze different parts of the house to see how he wants to be able to get on top of things, right? So one thing that he wanted to do, he wanted to get on the table, and he's very, very small, so obviously he can't jump on the table. So he was analyzing the whole table, analyzing what's around the table, looking at the wall, walked around the table, looked at the chair, looked at the bed, jumped on the bed. It's like, can't make it from here. Well, on the couch, said, can't make it from here. Decided to go on the windowsill, jump on the printer, jump off the printer onto the windowsill onto the, what is this? The AC, and then onto the table. Now, I'm just saying, he's a gray. He's a genius. What do you want me to tell you? He's part of the family. He has the color gray like me. He's the genius. I just wanted to put that out there. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. Just say how amazing he is as a cat. Now, one thing I kind of want to touch on is not going to be as positive. I probably should have started with this first then. I probably should have. That would have been better to start with. But here we are now, working on these segues. I got a call this morning, and one of my family members' fathers have passed from this thing that's going. Let me not say that, because I don't believe that that's the case. They have passed away from malpractice in the medical profession. Okay. Now, as they were in this hospital and there was malpractice going on, they also had the respiratory disease that's going on right now in the world. Okay. So the reason why I always call it malpractice, and I don't believe that this actual respiratory infection is the cause of people's death, is because, as I have experienced with my father in episodes probably 1 to maybe 9, specifically, I want to say, can you check what that is? I want to say either 5 or 7, where I was kind of going through this whole process of experiencing what it's like to have somebody who has a respiratory infection and then also have to deal with the hospital and medical field. Because my experience with this is that most people who go to deal with these medical professionals don't know, not the people themselves, but the actual medical professionals do not know what they are doing. Okay. For the majority or the most part, they think they know, but they don't. And what I mean by that is the doctors are told what to do. They read a book. The book says do this. So that's what they do. Now, they don't actually apply that to what they see in front of them. They are told, okay, if somebody is sick, put them on a respirator, on a ventilator, which I feel like should be something that never happens anymore, since we've talked about this for the last year and we realized that doesn't work. But again, they still do it. Why? Because one, they get paid more money to do it, and that's what they are told to do. So what I always say, for me personally, if I ever was to catch this respiratory infection, I would rather die at my house. because every person I know that has caught this and stayed home has been fine. Everybody I know that has went to the hospital with this has not made it through the hospital. So the reason like I said, I was on the phone during all of these phone calls, finding out what they're doing to people in the hospital. I was on the phone trying to help the situation, learning how they're looking at the situation. And most of them, either they're kind of like, well, they don't really care because they're dealing with a lot of patients. So they don't have the same empathy to what's going on because it's a job for them. They're not as attached to the person. So they're like, okay, well, listen, they're, they have high blood pressure. Give them high blood pressure medicine. Okay, they say, oh well, they have an infection of some other sort. Give them antibiotics, but they don't think about how those things negatively affect the person. They only think about the positive effects of them. Yeah.
Definitely episode 5 is dealing with this.
Yeah. So between 1 and 5 is when this whole process kind of went down. Episodes 1 to 5, and it just kind of annoys me because. In both situations that happened with my dad and this person's dad, it's like it happened the exact same way, almost as if there's a playbook. And I think that's the crazy part to me. It's not like there was any kind of like, oh, this was a little bit different. It happened the same exact way. And what I mean by that is the person was at home. They said they couldn't breathe. They said they feel that they couldn't breathe that well. I said, okay. They go from the house, take them to the hospital. They have pneumonia. They get pneumonia. And my dad, it was both his lungs, and that person's dad, it was one lung, right? And I think this is so crazy because this person passed away faster than my dad did. And honestly, I think they're younger. And not only that, I feel like my dad stayed at home while he had it longer. So in my opinion, I feel like it's something that passes through your body. And I feel like if you hold it up in your body, it does more damage to you. So their dad went to the hospital, had pneumonia in one lung, and then while they were there, got it in both lungs. And when they got it in both lungs, that's when they took him and put them in the ER or ICU, and they put him in the ICU. And that's, in my opinion, everything goes bad. Now, the difference in both situations, I think, honestly, no, it's the same thing. They put both of them on oxygen, right? And then you know what happens. Regular oxygen is like a little mask. Then they put them on a ventilator. One of the problems with the ventilator is that you can get sick from the ventilator. Why? Because they put a tube down your throat, which can cause you to have a bacterial infection. So for that, they give you antibiotics. Antibiotics reduce or lower your immune system. The reason why they do that is because your immune system is actually busy dealing with the antibiotics. So they don't have the same numbers to fight whatever virus you have in your body. The respiratory infection that you currently have, which is why you're in the hospital, your antibiotics are not able to, your white blood cells are not able to actually fight off the infection and the antibiotics. So, like I said, same playbook every time. So now you're on a ventilator, you have the antibiotics, you have the thing in your throat, and then they decide, okay, well, this is what they say all the time, is your oxygen levels are too low, right? So what they do is they turn your oxygen up. So what that means in ventilator terms is they're going to have to put more pressure on your lungs to expand and contract your lungs so that you can actually, they're breathing for you at that point. And what that does is it causes like atrophy in your chest. So now your body itself does not have the strength that it used to have to be able to pump air in and out because you are having this machine do it for you. And then what happens? The machine pretty much, if you want to call, like I said, it tires out your lungs. Now your lungs don't have any ability to push the air in and out at all. Now, I don't have all the specifics of what happened in that hospital, like as far as what the actual cause of death was, because what I've learned, well, with my dad, is that the respiratory infection that is going around right now doesn't actually kill you. It's what happens, or I guess what is caused from that, or what happens in the hospital once they do stuff to you. So with my dad's situation, it was his heart has stopped, right? That was his situation. So and his heart stopped, not because like his lungs or whatever, it's because they had put too much pressure on his blood. What was it? It was, do you remember exactly what it was? I'm trying to remember. It was like, the high blood pressure killed him. It was like a form of,
okay, because when they're trying to work your lungs more, I think it makes your heart pump more too.
I think.
Is that what you're saying? And then it increased the.
I think that the stuff they were putting inside of him caused his I think his kidney had stopped working too. It was.
That's what it was. It was kidney failure.
Yeah, it was kidney failure. That's what it was. And the kidney failure comes from you having too many things put in your body trying to filter it out. And if you can't filter it out, your kidneys fail, and then all the other toxins in your body aren't processed the same way, and it can lead to death or fatality, or whatever you want to call it, right? So I just bring it up just kind of as a timeline because at some point people are gonna watch this, and it's gonna happen enough times where they're like, damn, I heard that same story before. Like, I see, why is it happening the same exact way every single time? Everybody I know, like I said, who went to the hospital died. Who didn't go to the hospital lived. Now, before I get off of that, the last thing I want to say on that is what I don't know and I can't prove right now is, were these people so sick that they would have died at home regardless, and the people who didn't die, who stayed home, would have survived either way? That I don't know. However, what I do know is I rarely, if at all, hear about bodies piling up at home. I don't really hear that. I don't really hear anybody saying, well, I'm going to stay home and they just died. Actually, I retweeted this recently. I don't know if you saw it. There's a celebrity. That's what it was? There's a celebrity, right? And her doctors, she was about to die from the respiratory infection, right? And they told her to go to the hospital. And she said, no, I'd rather die at home. And you know what happened? She didn't die. Mind you, all the doctors were saying, you have to go. You about to die. It's not going to be good for you. She said, you know what? I don't care. I'd rather fight it at home. She fought it at home. And what happened? She lived. Now, she's the only anecdotal evidence I have of somebody being really sick and staying home. So, and in that case, she was really sick, stayed home, and she survived. So, like I said, I know if I get it, you can guarantee I'm going to be right here in my bed with my 2 kittens and my girlfriend in the house talking to myself, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And we'll see what happens in a month or so. And if I'm still here, that'd be another person going, yeah, you know what? I'm not trusting the hospital. I'm not going to these hospitals for that. And yeah, like I said, do your own research. Like I said, I always say, look it up yourself, find numbers. And if I'm wrong, listen, send some articles. I'll read them. I'll look up some stuff and see if we can have a conversation about it, because this is my theory right now. You go to the hospital with this thing, people are dying in the hospital from things that they shouldn't die from. So, but what was the other thing too? Yeah, I'm looking at my kittens. They just look so cute on the side of the bed. They just laid out. They be wrestling and rolling around and all types of stuff. So, I need some water.
The person that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the brands that you said you thought it was Keurig, but it wasn't that. It was Keurig. But do you know the brands that they own? Remember, she was married to someone, the CEO.
I don't.
So, the company, the CEO is in charge of Keurig, which is a company that owns Gucci, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, Balenciaga, and Alexander McQueen, a place called Brion. And that's just like, there's more.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So she survived that one. She's the one that's okay. Yeah. Look at them.
Puma.
Look at the Puma. That's crazy. The Puma boys. Jesus Christ. He's the CEO of the company?
Oh, the company, I guess, that owns them. Keurig.
Wow. Shit, how much is he worth? Yeah, one of our cats is breathing really fast. So if anybody has anything, knows anything about that, we looked it up, and it says that kittens are supposed to breathe between 16 to 40 beats, or I guess breaths per minute. And Sushi breathes kind of fast, so we don't really know why that is. It seems like it mostly happens when she's asleep. She breathes the fastest when she's asleep. So I think it's her dream. Cause I'm looking at Rocks, and his stomach is pretty normal. I think Sushi is breathing probably twice as fast as Rox is. The other thing that we did over the weekend was finally going to Philadelphia. So that video will be coming up soon. I'm gonna have to edit that. So that's gonna be the first part of a series we do where we show how it is to flip our first house. And we haven't come up with a name yet, so we're still thinking what we're gonna call it. But overall, what would you say about the house that I'm gonna give a little bit now and then kind of.
What would I say about the house?
Yeah, about the experience going to the house.
So yeah, I didn't really like it. It was moldy, damp. There was I wore sandals by accident. I forgot we were going to see a house that has nothing in it. And on the way there, I made a joke. I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna my shoe's gonna come off. My foot's gonna get impaled by a nail. My shoe came off and my foot almost got impaled by a nail.
Bruh.
It happened. But what happened? Yeah, there was no. I can see what it means for a house to not be up to code. Donovan almost fell through the floor. The ceiling almost fell while we were upstairs. The floorboards on the stairs did not feel long enough and secure. There was a lot going on. There was cobwebs all over the basement. It was crazy.
Yeah, that basement ceiling is mad low. Yeah. So that was, like I said, we're gonna have the video footage of that. Making that video. It's where we wanted to do a sit down and we didn't. Actually, we about to do an outro for that. We didn't do an outro, so we'll probably do an outro for that video. We wanted to be half of us sitting down talking and half of us actually at the property, but we were rushing back for me to go play basketball, which ended up getting canceled on the way back home either way. So that was kind of annoying because I really wanted to play basketball. We was driving back home, doing 80, 90 on the highway. Bro, I gotta tell that story too. On the highway, and then funny enough, we got that text before we even left. I just never looked at my phone. So probably like 40 minutes before we even get back, we look at the text and it says there's no basketball today. So we could have stayed in Philly. Mind you, we went out to Philly from 12. We got there at 3, left at like 4:15 to come back to play basketball at 6:30, and we just rushing the whole time. So a couple of things happened on this trip. A couple of things we want to talk about. The first thing is I use an app called Turo. If you're not familiar with the app, it's pretty much where it's like Airbnb but for cars. So you can use other people's cars to rent and drive around. You get what you pay for. We paid $44 for a car for 3 days, $44 a day for the car. It was a Nissan Juke, which is a 2013 car. Now, I like cars, right? I enjoy cars. I wouldn't say I'm a car connoisseur or a car, what do you call them? Fazant? Because what is those things called? No, the other one. There's another word. A car savant. I'm not a car savant, but I would say I know a little bit of. Oh, that's not true. I'm lying. I know car names. I could say that. I know the names of cars because I'm thinking about. I'm like, I don't know shit about cars. I don't know how fast they go. I don't know the muffler side. I don't know the engine. I don't know that shit. I just know that's a Buick. That's a Toyota. That one is a Bugatti. Costs like 1.9. Like I know those. Anything more than that, I don't know. So it would have behooved me to know more about cars because we're in the year 2021. The car that I decided to rent was from 2013. That's already the first mistake I made, not thinking that this car is 10 years old that I decided I wanted to rent. Now, I don't even know what kind of car. As a Nissan Juke, I'm like, I know the name Nissan. That should be a good car to rent, right? It wasn't. It was wrong. It wasn't a good car to rent because not only was it super small, right? I didn't even know, bro. First of all, it had no Bluetooth in the car. That's the second thing. On top of that, the seat is not automatic. The whole thing is mechanical. Like I have to like bump up and then sit back like this and then hope it didn't go back. And then on top of that, not only did it not go back far enough, like I said, it wasn't even freaking automatic. So now my heel is digging into the bottom of the car. I'm trying to like push the pedal. It's not really going. And then to make matters even worse, like I said, this car from 2013. So it's not really, the best car. It probably got a lot of miles on it. I didn't even check what the miles were on that car. I should have checked how many miles it has. This shit probably had to have, bruh, couple 100,000 miles on it. I feel like maybe I'm bugging. Maybe that's too many. Maybe like 300,000 miles, 200,000. A lot of miles. Like I said, I thought I know cars, but I don't. I know it has a lot of miles on it for sure. For damn near 10 years of driving that car, it gotta have miles on it. So we on the highway, and I'm pushing it. I'm like, all right, we supposed to get there at like 2. For whatever reason, there's traffic, and now we getting there at 3. So I'm hitting like 85 on how I'm doing like 85. Then I'm like, all right, bet. You know what? I gotta find somebody in front of me to keep up with, because that keeps me awake. Because if you guys don't know, video up here, I almost killed us before in a car when I was driving and I fell asleep. Damn, it's over now. Nobody's going to Philadelphia now, babe. I said it. Nobody's going. That's it. So I was driving, almost fell asleep. Everybody almost flipped the car over. Everything almost died, right? So that only happened because I was tired. So to stay awake, what I have to do is I have to keep up with somebody. I find a guy that's kind of, moving, and I stay with him or her, because, women be driving too. And then gotta be, equal opportunists. And I'm staying with them, right? Or a them, because it could be a transgender. So I'm staying with this person, whoever they are, X, Z, all of them. I'm staying with them in the car, and we're going, and I start hearing weird sounds. Now, like I said, I'm not a car savant, but I know, I've driven probably in my life. How many cars have I driven? I'm going to say I drove my dad's car, both his cars, that's 2. And then I drove Nefes' car. I drove a couple of rentals from my mom's, that's like 5, 6. I drove one of my ex-girlfriend's mom's boyfriend's car, right? Drove his car. And I probably drove one of my friends. So I would say I probably drove about 10 to 13 different types of cars, right? So there's certain sounds that you hear, certain things that you feel in the car. So as we're driving on the highway, right, I'm like, yo, I hear a sound. I didn't ask Melissa if you heard the sound or not. I'm just driving thinking like, all right, everything's going to be good. So we're still driving. I'm like, nah, this sound kind of weird. So we're going, and I started noticing that the car that I was following was getting further away from me. And I didn't understand why. So I'm like, you know what? I got to push faster on the pedal to catch up to them. So I'm pushing faster and going slower. Now, I don't understand how that works. Because in my mind, when you press down more, you're supposed to speed up, not go backwards. So I'm confused as why this happens. So I'm like, you know what I got to do? Press on it even harder. So I press on it even harder. I got the accelerator all the way on the floor of the car, right? I'm on the highway. Accelerator on the bottom of the floor. I'm pressing on that shit on the highway, right? Holding it down for a good 7 seconds. I'm going 40 miles an hour right now. And I don't understand how this is even possible. Because I'm like, the car is built to be going probably like 100 plus, something like that, right? I'm pressing on it, stomping on it, holding it down. We are not going past 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, this don't really make sense. Like, I know that this is not how a car's supposed to work. I'm not a car savant or a car connoisseur, but I know if you press on it, you're supposed to go faster. I feel like that's basic knowledge of driving a car. That's not what's happening here. So I'm like, all right, something is wrong. That was my indicator that, okay, this is not how this is supposed to work. So I'm looking at the dashboard. I'm like, all right, I don't see a check engine light. All right, we still got gas, so that's good. I'm looking. I'm like, all right, everything seems good. And as I'm doing this, car's still going slower. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of strange. So I took my foot off the gas, right? And the car speeding up a little bit. Now I'm like, now I'm really fucked up. Because I'm like, now I take my foot off the gas and we're going faster. And I take my foot, push it down, we go slower. Something is fucked up here. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull over. No, I'm lying. I didn't pull over yet. I kept driving because I wanted to see if I knew what the problem was. And there's like 3 meters on the dashboard, right? Okay, so you got the one in the middle. It has like the gas on this car. It tells you, what else I got on the meter? I'll tell you your mileage, how many miles you drove, things like that. And on the right-hand side, you have how fast you're going. That's how I know I'm doing 40. Now, as a person who's never had to drive cars that much, I don't really use the left meter. I don't really look it over. I know it's there, but it don't have the speed and it don't have the how much gas I need. So other than that, I don't think I need anything else for the car, right? I was wrong. So on that left side, people who drive cars probably know it's on the left meter over there, right? That's the engine. So, on the engine is numbers, right? It has people who don't drive. I got you. But to put y'all on to something, right? It's a number from like 1 to like 10, depending on the car. Maybe like 1 to 8 or whatever. So number 1 is white. Number 2 is white. Number 3 is white. Number 4 is white. Number 5 is white. Number 6 is white. Number 7 to 8 is red, and it has lines around it, and it's bold print stuff, right? So that's just give you an idea of what I saw. Now, that's what it looks like. That's a better way to put it. So as I'm jamming on the acceleration, right, and we're going 40 miles an hour, this meter is in 8. It's on 8, right? Now, to people who drive cars, they probably know that's crazy, right? Now, if you don't drive cars, I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna use an example of not an example. How would I put this? I will comparison. I'll give you a comparison to explain to you how crazy the fact that it's on 8 is, and we're doing 40 miles an hour, right? And I'm stepping on the gas, and AC blasting at 40 degrees in the car, 25 degrees in the car. We freezing, and we trying to freeze, hopefully, and we just blowing the air, right?
You missed it.
Miss what?
The AC wasn't blowing cold air. It started blowing heat, and that's when I asked you.
Oh, right. So before what she just said, if you didn't hear it, it was blowing cold air, right? It was blowing cold before when it was on red. It was blowing cold air, but I didn't know what was happening, so I just kept pushing the accelerator. I'm just like, all right.
Cold air or hot air?
It was blowing cold air when it was on 8, but I didn't know that it was on 8 that whole time. Mm-hmm. So I'm just driving with it on 8, like, why the car not going fast? Okay. So as we're driving on 8, then how they started coming out the car, and I'm like.
And that's when I asked you.
Like, yeah, is this everything okay? And I'm like, yeah. I looked at the meter. I was just like, yeah, this shit look like it's. I know this supposed to be the engine. I know, but it ain't supposed to be in the red. Anything that's in the red is usually bad. Gas, meter, speedometer, everything in the red is probably bad. So, all right. Comparison for people who don't know about cars, right? So here's an example. Earlier in the day and later in the day after this incident, I was driving 80 miles an hour. 75 miles an hour on the highway, right? And the car meter for the engine was on 2. And if I pushed it, the gas or accelerated a little bit, put my foot on it, it would go to 2.5, 3. So think about how crazy it has to be for me to be pushing it all the way to 8 on this meter and only going 40 miles an hour. That means the car cannot get me to that 70 miles an hour, which normally on this meter is on a 2. A 2 should be able to get me to 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour in this particular car. If I'm doing 8, my car should be doing 400 miles an hour. Like, that's what I should be. My car, that's what it was. My car thought I was doing 400 miles an hour when I was actually only doing 40. That's what it thought. I wasn't doing 400. It thought I was. It couldn't do it, so it had me pull over. So we sat inside the road for a little bit for the car to cool down because I wasn't really sure what was causing that. I just knew that if the AC is on, how they should be blowing out the car. I knew that. And I also knew that if I press on the accelerator, I should be going slower. These are things that you think you should know. So what do you remember about this this thing? Get some water.
Oh, another thing too is why the AC is so important.
Oh, bro. So here's why this is even worse. I'm gonna tell you why this is bad in our case. Tim, I woke them both up. My bad. Go back to bed. Oops. Go back to sleep. She looking at me like, why the fuck? Look at her face. She like, why'd you do that? She looks so mad. Like, why would you ever wake me up like that? So as I said before, I wouldn't call it epilepsy or narcolepsy. I wouldn't call it those two things, right? I would just say that something about the road has this effect on me where I get on the highway and instantly my eyes want to roll to the back of my head. Now, I don't know why that happens, but we do know that when it's colder in the car, it tends to happen a lot less, right? So you can see how there's a dilemma now that the car, almost forgot. The AC makes this problem worse. So the accelerator and the AC and the age of this car make all these things worse. And it was 92 degrees outside. So all of these things make for a whole type of situation, a pot for the car to be on fire. We were driving a hot ball of fire down the highway. Had no idea that's what we were doing. Car's on fire. So now we have to close the window, right? Open the window, turn the AC off because, again, hot air is coming out the AC. Now we got hot air coming in the windows. Listen, it was hot. So now we in the car, fake sweating, because we're like, damn, it's getting hot. The sun beaming in through the windows, through the ceiling, through the, bruh, it was crazy. So, as I said, I could have a slight situation on the train, on the highway. So now that it's hot, my eyes, they start going like this. They start like squinting. They go back of my head. I'm just like, damn, I need to figure out how to stay awake. Now it's only a 2-hour drive. So I'm like, all right, we got to figure something out. So we decide, okay, we're going to drive mad slow, right? And here's how hot the car was, all right? we had the fan on like 1. Probably had the temperature on like 60 degrees, 65 degrees in the car, right? Because we try to figure out, like, look, there's no way that we can drive with this heat because I'm going to die. We all going to die in this car if I fall asleep. So we got to turn the AC on a little bit, maybe intermittently, put it on now, turn it off later, put it back on, something like that. And think about, it's so crazy because even the AC being on that temperature, going at 40 miles an hour, had the engine on like 6. And I'm like, bro, the engine is on 6 and we going 40 miles an hour with the AC. I'm like, this is crazy. So we try to figure something out with that. And we decided, you know what, we're going to just have to slow down and you have to kind of drive. We were kind of close, so it wasn't too bad. So we kind of got there fine. But what I decided to do was the best of both options was turn the AC on as high as I can, but drive as slow as I can. So I'm like, if we get onto the street, I could do like 20 miles an hour and have the AC blasting because it's better that I'm awake than the engine give out. I think that's better. I want to say yes, that's better. I think that's better. Either we die or get stuck. So I don't know. Whichever one, it depends. It's subjective. Whichever one you think is better, maybe do something different. I know for me, I decided I just rather it be like, cool in the car. So we got there safely. Hot, sweaty, safely. Everything was good. But I just know that I will not be spending or not spending money on Turo again because I will have to get a car that is good, a car that is decent, that car does not catch on fire as we're driving down the highway. I don't need that. So I'm gonna make sure I spend a little bit of money, maybe like $55. I probably could have gotten a nice car for $50-$60 for the day. Like $40. So I feel like $60 a day would have given me a decent car. Or I could have just picked a better car. I could have did that. I tried to, you know what it was? I know what it was. I tried to be deluxe. That's what I tried to be. So I thought, I'm like a Nissan Juke. That sounds like some fire shit. I'm like, let me get that one. And I thought another thing too. So you see my dad's car, the Audi? Yeah. So I thought the Nissan Juke was built like that. Like my dad's car. I didn't think it was going to be that small. So I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to get. Like, a nice, strong, nice car. It wasn't that. It was a little tiny, like, yes, right. The car vibrating all over the place. Either way, all I know is that I'm not doing that shit again. So.
And then, remember what happened when we left the house? The quarantine?
No, what happened when we left the house?
The wires.
Bruh. I'm going to have to ask him about that. I'm going to have to ask people on the YouTube about that.
Yes, they started grooming each other, fighting, kind of hugging.
So this is the last thing I remember about this car situation. Melissa just reminded me about, right? So when we came out the house, right, there are wires hanging out the car. Now we were in Philadelphia, so I've been told that Philadelphia couldn't be the hood, depending on where you are. That's what I've been told. I've never seen it. Let me not say that. I have not experienced it, but that's what I've been told is crazy in Philadelphia, right? So for whatever reason, I forgot to lock the car doors when we went inside the house. It was in there for like 35, 40 minutes. Now, I don't know. I don't think nobody did, but I do know when I came out to the car, wires were exposed in the car that were not exposed before we got out the car. And I don't really know how that would have happened. Now, if I was to compare it to my bike, the wires that I saw look like the wires like that might be for the the dashboard, because on my bike, when you have multiple colorful wires like that, they all go to different things. So they're electrical wires, but they're not power wires. They're just like they're called signal wires. So they'll tell you to turn left and right, things that don't turn the car off and on, stuff like that. So that's what I think it was exposed. But either way, it was exposed. It was like a 6 or 8 prong thing. So if you guys know what that is, maybe it's normal. I don't know. I didn't think I see when I got into the car. Maybe we almost got robbed. Maybe somebody stole something. Something could have got stolen. We don't even know. Who knows? Oh yeah. So a couple more things for life update. Last week we went to the Tesla store because I wanted to buy a Tesla. I'm going to buy a Tesla Model S. And we went to the city only to find out that you cannot test drive a Tesla anymore because the Model S, because they're releasing a new model. Oh, that distracted me. Kittens. They're on the laptop being kittens. I can't help. I'm trying to. They writing on the screen, Melissa.
I know.
they're right. And Are they holding the E? That's interesting.
Yes.
I'm recording it, guys. Hey. This is a kitten commercial. They're gonna start fighting in a second. Watch them. See? I seen it. I knew it was coming. But the pull up, start squaring up. Mind you, this is where Melissa has the notes, and as you can hear, they are currently saying "fuck all your notes." And there you go. So, oh yeah, the whole screen messed up now. So my notes say, but fnagging. That's what my notes say on the screen. So like I said, we went to this city, right? And now we couldn't get a Tesla because we couldn't test drive one because you have to wait until the new car comes out to test drive it, and they stopped doing test drives on the old one, so we have to wait. So I'm hoping by the time we get to Lord have mercy, by the time we get to Atlanta, we'll be able to do that.
They said you can do it again in August.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're in Atlanta by the time we can do that. So hopefully you can see us buy a Tesla. For people who think we're not doing nothing, we're always out here working. Okay, we're gonna buy a Tesla. People I know how people are when you're not doing it until you buy a car. For whatever reason, I don't know why. You gotta do the money phone thing, and then you gotta have a car. Those two things make people know that you're doing it out here. So we're gonna definitely address those two things. Is she tickling your feet? See, this is why the podcast started so late, because the kittens are adorable and they're walking on the keyboard and they're tickling Melissa's feet. They're play fighting. They jumping on the bed, running around. Listen. I'm gonna be honest, right? Low key, my life is everything I ever wanted. Like, my life is pretty much perfect. The only thing I need is a source of income. So that's really it. Once I get income that I'm producing, that like comes from something that we put work into, I'll be set. We got 2 kittens. I got a girlfriend. We have companies that we're running. We have a property that we purchased. Like, life is amazing. Like, life is great. Like, it's amazing. It's phenomenal. I have nothing else to, I guess. See, look, I'm plotting. Look at her plotting. Look at her plotting. Look at you plotting. Why are you plotting on him? Just nosy. From across the room.
Yeah, Rocky mind his business.
Bruh. We're distracted again. Y'all can't see nothing. Bruh.
Sir, we have a podcast.
I'm trying, Melissa. I'm trying to do the podcast. They distracted me. I want to play with my kittens. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. I almost forgot my screen time from last week. Let me go over that too. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I've realized that using a phone is like masturbation. And I actually remember reading somewhere that using your social media is like masturbation. It's something about the motion of your thumb that's supposed to equate to signals to your brain, some type of dopamine release of you swiping your thumb like that. From what I've heard, they equate swiping on your phone to a girl rubbing her clit, and that's supposed to be some type of primitive action that releases chemicals in your brain that kind of sedate you. So, and the reason I bring this up is because I know that when I get on if I go on social media for too long, I feel like drained, which is kind of weird because I'm not doing anything on there. But if I stay on for too long, I'll be like, oh, okay. I feel like I just came almost. I feel like, oh, whew, I'm good. I got my fill. So you know what's weird about that too? Do you get that feeling? What? That like you came after you use social media? No. Just me. So maybe just me. I don't know.
I don't use social media as much.
Oh God, my thing went up. Jesus, that's terrible.
What? Oh, your screen time?
Yeah. It says my daily average went up 19% from last week. Oh, that's terrible.
Well, I think that might be also like using the maps when you drive.
This is my daily. I guess was we only out for 1 day, right? No, 2 days.
For like 3 days.
Yeah, let me see what it says.
Here, then we have to drive actually to Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
And the last day we drove to get the kittens and then drove to New Jersey.
Yeah, fact. So here's it. Yeah. So right. So yesterday I was on my phone for 9 hours and 30 minutes. Right. But 2 hours and 15 minutes was on Google Maps. So that means that I will be down to 7 hours and 15 minutes. And then everything else on there is Instagram, Zillow, YouTube. I was on Zillow for an hour and 40 minutes. That's kind of crazy.
You were looking at houses for the renderings.
Yeah, so that's another thing. So that could be a little off, but I know. And then on Sunday, Google Maps was, oh, Lord have mercy. So yeah, oh, that's great. So Sunday, Google Maps, on Sunday, my screen time was 8 hours and 36 minutes. And I was on Google Maps for 6 hours. So that means that my screen time on Sunday was 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's great. That's phenomenal. I'm getting better at this. I'm lying. I don't know. I can't tell because my screen time is up. But today I was on my phone for 3 hours and 54 minutes. I was on Instagram for an hour and 20. That's been going up because I definitely haven't been using Instagram that much for the last week. Other than that, it was Safari, my photos, clock, camera, Twitter, and then notes. I had 23 pickups today. Yesterday, I had 82 pickups. And then the day before that, I had 64 pickups. I remember like the other week, I think I had over 100 plus pickups. And that's kind of crazy. A pickup is when you pick your phone up and look at it. And that just kind of shows how addicted you are to your phone. Like how often you pick it up just to pick it up for no reason. Nobody texting you. Nobody sent you alert. Nothing. You just pick up your phone. So then I forgot to kind of cover that. But I feel like when I use my phone too much, I get this kind of like lazy feeling where I don't want to do anything. So I equate it to having an orgasm when you have sex because you don't want to do anything after you have sex. You just want to lay there. And I think that it's built in social media to be like that. It's supposed to be dopamine release. The same thing when you have sex and you come, it's very similar to what kind of release they want you to have on social media. So I'm very self-aware of how my body feels. I try to be as adept as I can on that. And that's why I kind of feel like, oh no, I just use social media too much. I feel like kind of not doing enough. I feel like being lazy. So that's something that I have to pay more attention to is how I feel after I use social media. Like, do I feel positive after I use it? Do I feel tired after I use it? Do I feel like excited after I use it? I feel like people should pay attention to the things that make them feel good and make them want to do work, that make them want to be active. Those things are the things you should do more of, in my opinion. Things that make you feel good, but I don't want to say feel good because I'm like, kids make me feel good, but not social media. Like, social media makes you feel like
it's different types of good.
Yeah, facts.
I think there's one
that's a fact.
Kind of like a passive, and then there's one that's kind of like a
Ooh.
a relief or like a rewarding feeling, like you earned something.
I was gonna say that the kittens feel like serotonin maybe, and the dopamine is from social media. That's what I was thinking. But one thing that, how I'm gonna break it down what happened. So when Melissa and I get on the train, right, or we're kind of going in public, I always try to tell her like, hey, I can make people feel uncomfortable because I'm taller than them or bigger than them. So I want to try and sit in places or be in spaces that are far enough from other people so they do not feel uncomfortable. And when I was thinking about it, I had an idea or a thought that I don't think women think about making other people uncomfortable. I don't think that's something that women have to think about. I think a lot of men have to think about, okay, am I making this woman uncomfortable? Because that's not what I want to do. Am I making this guy uncomfortable? Because if I am making him uncomfortable, he might punch me in my face. And I don't think women have to think about that. So I asked Melissa, does she think about that? She actually told me no, she doesn't. I think for the most part, women think about what makes them feel uncomfortable. And they try and avoid those things. But I don't think that they don't see how their interactions affect the world around them. I don't think they look at it like that. So anything you want to say? You want to touch on that, babe?
I think that the proximity thing isn't something that, isn't something I would usually think about. Because like you said, I'm more so hyper aware of what makes me uncomfortable as opposed to being hyper aware of. That's not even rock. Mm-mm. Hyper aware of what makes other people uncomfortable. But like, I mean, outside of the basic things, so outside of not talking too loud on the phone or chewing with your mouth open or something like that. I feel like those are basic things, but standing too closely or hovering over it or stuff like that, or even where I sit is. I'm less likely to think that I'm making someone else uncomfortable, so I don't really think about that.
Okay, let me ask you this. I have 2 questions. Okay. So maybe I have one. I think a better term for how I make people, or what I try to avoid, is I want people to feel safe. So my question to you is, as a woman, when do you want to make other people feel safe? Because I think uncomfortable can be a cultural thing, and I think that certain cultures may say that you have to bow when you meet somebody, you may have to hug them, may have to do things like that. And somebody may do those things because of the uncomfortable feeling they think they'll give the other person, as opposed to making them feel safe. So when do you feel like you want other people to feel safe?
I don't really think about that. I guess when it comes to being around adults, I might think about that being around kids.
Okay.
I don't know if this is a good example, but like maybe if I see like a girl, boy, I guess, with natural hair, like young, I compliment them every time because I want them to know that their hair is like beautiful or something like that. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's safe.
Exactly, but that's kind of where my mind goes to.
Yeah, because you want them to feel good.
I mean, or confident. That would make them feel safe.
Yeah, because I don't think that's like danger. Because I said for me, I feel like, and I wonder if other guys feel like this too.
Or maybe other females too.
What do you mean?
Like if I notice that a female feels uncomfortable or something like that. Like if I guess I feel like I can mostly tell with my friends as opposed to strangers, but I'll definitely want to make them feel safe. So I think they might have a harder time not talking to guys. I think they might be a bit more like how I used to be, which is like, oh, haha, yeah, like I guess agreeable-ish. But I'm more so able to take more control of that situation as opposed to letting whoever is talking be in control, and I feel like that kind of makes them feel safer. Like, okay, you know what? I gotta go to the bathroom, so I need my friend to go with me. Or like, wait, what are you saying? You said what? That don't really make sense, do you think? Or stuff like that, where I feel like would make them feel safer because the person that they're talking to doesn't feel as much in a dominant position. So.
Okay, so I'm thinking, because in a situation where you said that you're with your female friends, and somebody might make them feel uncomfortable, so you want them to feel safe. And I'm trying to think of situations where you want people to feel safe around you.
Oh, around me?
Yeah.
Like I can't see myself making people not feel safe. So I'm only, I guess, maybe white people, but I don't really care for them to feel safe around me. So.
Cause I'm like, cause I just know that I have to call other guys. I'm actually call somebody right now. Ask him.
Hello.
Yo. I'm on a podcast. I want to ask you a question.
Oh man, go ahead.
All right. So my question is, do you think about when you're on the train not sitting next to somebody so that they feel comfortable?
I mean, yeah, it's a girl. Like not really. To be honest, if I want to sit, I'll sit down. But I normally try to sit away from people. So if I can have the seat that's like all the way in the corner, I'll sit there.
Okay, so my question is, why would you do that?
I don't know, man. I just don't like the train. So like I can't. Just something about that whole shit is just depressing to me. I don't know. I just prefer to avoid people underground.
So do you feel that same way if you're above ground? Like if you were, let's say you go into a store, would you try and kind of not stand next to people, like over people?
Yeah, I can say that. I don't really like being around like a group of people, too many people at once. You know what I mean? So I'll keep my distance. But if I'm comfortable around people, I'll sit down and stuff like that. But I think it's really worse on the ground.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking the question is Melissa and I were getting on a train, and one thing that for me, I try to sit away from people because I know that I can make people uncomfortable. Like if you, as a guy, you're taller than people, you're bigger than certain people, you don't want to get on the train and sit right next to them because they're gonna be like, "Yo, I feel uncomfortable," and you don't really want to sit or stand right behind them because they're gonna be like, "Why are you standing that close to me?" As a guy. So I asked him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That on that stance, yeah. Because especially if there's no seats, and then my dick is going to be in the other man's face, then yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually turn this way.
Right.
So my penis won't be like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Put it that way, yeah.
Exactly. So the thing that was kind of crazy to me is that I never thought about it, but girls don't have to think like that. So when I asked her if she thinks about that, she was like, no, she doesn't really think about making other people uncomfortable on the train. She mostly thinks about making herself feel comfortable. Because I don't think when she gets on the train, I don't think nobody's kind of like intimidated by girls when they come on the train. So they don't really think about it from that perspective.
Huh. I never thought about it.
Right.
It like that.
Me neither. Because when we get on a train, Melissa will sit next to somebody, and I'm like, can we sit like 2 seats down so I'm not sitting like right next to this person right behind them? And it was kind of confusing to her at first because she was like, why do you want to sit so far away from people? There's a chair right here. And I would be like, yeah, because there's no people over there. So let's just sit where there's no people at, and we could just be fine over there.
Yeah, you're going to have to ask another girl that then. I'm going to ask my girl that too.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
So that's something I just learned with Melissa. I didn't know people. I just thought everybody, let me not say that. I just never considered that other people would look at it differently.
Yeah.
So
maybe we could be overanalyzing it, but
right.
Hey.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to ask guys, because I feel like that's more of a guy thing. But now that you mentioned that, I would ask a girl too to see, okay, do girls think about this? So I'm gonna call somebody and ask them what they think.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Hit the like button. Bamboo Project up.
Let me see. What's another guy I could call? Yo. What's good, man? All right. So I'm on the podcast right now, right? I want to ask you a question. All right. You ready? Okay. So, as a guy, when you get on the train, do you try not to sit next to people?
Do I try not to sit next to people?
Yeah, if you can avoid it, will you try to sit away from other people?
Now that I think about it, I do subconsciously go away from people, yeah.
Okay, so why do you think you do that?
I want space.
Okay, so the reason
I want, like...
Uh-huh. So do you think about making other people uncomfortable when you're around them, like on a train or on a bus?
Do I think about making others uncomfortable?
Yeah, like either making them feel safe or making them feel uncomfortable. Do you think about that?
Yeah. Like, cause I'm a big guy, so like I don't like crowding too much around people. So like I'll move out the way if they need space or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like but I do purposely go away from people when I go on the train. Cause like that's just I feel better that way.
Right. So this is the crazy thing. So Melissa and I will get on the train, right? And she, as a girl, has no problem sitting next to another person, like right next to them or across from them. So
Right next to them is kind of crazy.
okay. Like on the seat on the end of where they are, like close to them, right? So it's weird to me because my natural instinct, right, is to kind of sit where there's nobody really around me, so I could just have that space. But to her, she doesn't think like that. So maybe start thinking like, where's that disconnect come from? So I started thinking like, when I sit on the train, I don't want to make other people uncomfortable. Like I'm like, you know what? I know I'm bigger than people. I can be taller than them. I don't really want to be, standing over them or sit right next to them. So that's what I think about. But as a girl, they don't think about that because they don't really think about making other people feel safe like that.
Yeah, they're worried about themselves.
Right. That's exactly what I said. They're worried about.
What they see?
Exact. That's exactly what I said. They're thinking about, okay, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I'm safe. I'm gonna sit right here in this spot. So that's kind of what I called to find out. Because I'm like, I think that most guys think about that when they're gonna train. They're like, yo, I don't really want to be next to somebody else. Like if I can, I'll sit somewhere else. And for me personally, I'll even stand up. I'm like, damn, it's either me standing up or me sitting in that little spot. I'm gonna stand up, bro. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. For a fact.
So, but yeah.
Ah, that's crazy. I'm on the podcast. I'm about to tell Joe Rebel.
Yo, the Warzone thing, bro. So you nice at Warzone. I feel like I've been seeing you post like you be number 1 on Warzone.
I caught it 18 kills up today.
Oh man, listen, I'm gonna have to pull up. I have to pull up one of these days, man. I gotta see the work in live time. Here, I'm gonna hit you up later, bro.
Alright, Phil.
All right.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Cause I'm like, it's definitely a thing. I never thought about it until now. So while Melissa calls one of her friends, Donovan's question for the day is it okay for one of your friends, let me rephrase that, okay? Is it okay for your significant other's friend of the opposite sex to say, love you, have a good day? Is that okay? Okay, give me an example. Is it okay if you're in my position, a male friend says to Melissa, love you, have a good day at work? Is that okay? Or reverse, a female tells me, love you, Donovan, have a good day at work, and then goes about her day. Is that okay? That's Donovan's question for the day.
Never do no wrong.
In her eyes too, they can never do no wrong. That's both of y'all. They're so cute. They're so cute.
I think Rox got stuck. Oh yes, honestly, we called you to ask you a question. Don't forget.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, so you on the podcast? Shout out to Brittany for being on the podcast. See, they're doing a lot. Doing too much. Being on the podcast. Okay, what's the question?
Okay. You ready?
I guess so.
Okay. So when you get on the train or bus, right? Do you think about making other people uncomfortable by where you sit at?
No, I just think about my comfort.
Right? So that's perfect. Listen, this is something that we've just discovered in the last couple of days. So what I've noticed is that most guys, when they get on the train, they are thinking about making other people feel safe and uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable, making them feel safe and comfortable. So they will try and sit away from other people so that they don't make them feel uncomfortable. So now the problem is when I'm on a train with Melissa, because she is thinking about where, okay, I'm comfortable as, Melissa, I can sit right here. But then I'm as a guy, I'm like, nah, we're too close to people. I'm making them feel uncomfortable. We got to sit over there, away from them. So it started making me think like, I don't think girls really think about when they get on a train, making other people feel comfortable or not.
You know what's crazy? You might be the first man that I've ever heard say that you think about making other people feel comfortable. Right.
Listen, I called two other guys, said the same thing. Call a guy, ask him. If you actually talk to a guy, just ask him how they feel about sitting on the train with other people. When they sit next to them on a bus or train, ask if they want to sit far away from people.
Listen, he be arguing with me about other people's comfortability. So
I'm not gonna lie, because I just be sitting down like I'm comfortable.
I be on the same time. Then he be like, we can't sit here though. We can't sit here. There's people here. Mind you. In my eyes, it looks like everyone is far away. But in his, he, I guess, takes up more presence in that way. So he has to look at it differently.
Okay.
So, Jesus Christ.
What is happening?
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, this is definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. That's kind of crazy.
I'm gonna be asking men, because now I'm
Yeah, fact. Like I said, I'm gonna have to ask more people. This is crazy.
Yeah, for real.
I'm not gonna ask some short men too, because both men are asked.
Short men.
Yeah, no, you definitely gotta ask the short man.
Because I'm like,
What they say.
bro, I'm 5'11" 3/4.
Donovan, stop.
Jevon is 6'5" and Tim is like 6'4".
Yeah.
So we're all bigger.
Tall black man.
So I have to ask somebody who's not as tall.
Maybe. Do you think it's a male thing or do you think it's a black man?
I think it's a presence thing.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
So I think if you have an overwhelming presence, a fat girl who's like 6'2" might be like, you know what, I don't want to sit in that spot because people there might be uncomfortable.
I don't know.
I think he's right.
Really?
Yes, because I'm not going to use no names, but somebody used to be like that.
Really?
So I think it's a presence thing. So I think a smaller guy who doesn't feel as big might not be. He'd be like, oh, I'm sitting right here in this little spot. I'm cool.
What do you mean used to be like that?
Like, this person was a certain weight, and it would just be like I can sit wherever, like, I'm whatever. But they have to think about, like, okay.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Wait, so question, just because I gotta verify. You named Rock after Rock Lee and Sushi because you like sushi, right?
Bruh, you would think.
Those were their names when we got there.
Crazy.
Oh, so it was just meant to be. It was destined.
Yeah.
Bruh. Crazy.
Sometimes I'm calling him Roxas. It is what it is.
That's really crazy. No, I was really telling Chrissy, I'm like, she named like broccoli. But I already know.
But that's literally the first thing that came to our minds when we saw them. Okay, this one's broccoli. This
Yo.
And Rock was a boy too, so that's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. They just doing a lot.
I would love to know why they got so much energy.
Donovan. They just jumped into each other's face.
He about to eat his. Oh. Address that on the podcast.
As long as we know it's not just a me thing.
I didn't think it was a you thing.
What? I thought you thought that.
No, did I? I don't think so. I thought that you don't think about it. So I didn't think.
Exactly. You thought it was a me thing.
No. I thought you didn't think about it, which is true.
Yes.
However, most people,
Most women.
right, don't think about it. Most women don't think about it.
Or most people that. Because honestly, I feel like that's something that you think about if you've been in a situation where you notice someone feeling uncomfortable. Or if you notice that happening on either regular occurrence or more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, okay, why did this person do this thing? I guess they felt uncomfortable, or So if that doesn't happen that often, it's not something that you're gonna think about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it comes down to. So I can see that if, like you said, if you might be either a shorter guy or maybe, and it also depends around who.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a shorter guy, you still might have to make females feel comfortable around you, or think about where you sit around a female. Because at the end of the day, you're still a guy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to call some guys. But yeah, like I said, guys who are not that big, maybe, and then, like you said, guys who talk to girls will still have to think about that same thing.
And then even with the weight thing, I'm still wondering if that's like I don't want to sit directly next to someone because they might be uncomfortable. But if they're sitting like across from you,
Mm-hmm.
would you care?
Mm.
Because then at that point, your weight doesn't affect the other person. I think it more so affects them whether or not you would be encroaching on somebody's space while sitting in that seat. Not your presence.
And I also wonder if it matters how big people feel, because I'm like, in certain situations, I feel like nah, I need a full circle of space. Like, that's me personally. I would prefer like nobody in front, nobody behind me, nobody on the left, nobody on the right. That's what I would prefer. Right?
For your comfortability or to make other people feel comfortable?
I feel like anything inside that space would make somebody else feel uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'll make somebody uncomfortable in that space. So, is it my uncomfortability? I guess it's a combination of both. I will feel uncomfortable by making other people uncomfortable.
Donovan.
So, because I'm like, because I could just not care. So it has to be a part of my comfortability. I can just be like, I don't give a fuck how they feel. I'm gonna sit right here next to them on their lap, and I don't care. Oh Jesus. So okay, turn the screen back on so we can wrap this up, and then I'm gonna. Oh, so episode playback. I only have one thing because I did not listen to the episode this morning. I do not believe you can pay for a passport in cash. So
It's exact change, I think.
Because when I saw it said no, you can't. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if you can or not. So that has to be double checked again. I know when I looked it up, it said no. Melissa saw it. She said it has to be exact change. So what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna go over these two topics next week because I didn't touch on them today. The first topic I'm gonna talk about next week would be why insecure men or insecure people for that matter are in charge of everything. And I believe that the government creates all the diets that we have. So I'll explain all of that next week and my theories on that. We will be back here next Tuesday. Listen, we know how we get down. We're here every single Tuesday, dropping videos every Friday and audios hopefully on Wednesdays. So if you have not already, go check out our social medias. Mine is DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and you have the beautiful, phenomenal, amazing Melissa Burn. Or Melissa Burnett. Her Instagram is AnetaBurn. AnetaBurn. We have 6 different projects, okay? We have the food project, the clothing project, the music project, the fitness project, the sports project, and the Bamboo Project podcast, which you're listening to right now. You know what it is. Hashtag Bamboo Project 2021. We going up all year. You know the vibes. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.